And one of the players who hit some of those threes was Devin Booker, who has been a key part of this youth movement in the playoffs. 7 players at age 25 or younger are averaging at least 25 points this postseason. That's on pace to be the most in a single playoff year in NBA history, which really kind of begs the question as we break down the youth movement. And we've certainly been enjoying it, J. Rose. Who are the top 5 players under 25?
Ooh. I just enjoyed that my guy Dylan Brooks made the full screen over Bam and Zion, right?
Yes.
That's my guy right there. No question. So this is really tough. And so I had to pay attention to what happened this year and what's happening in this year's playoffs. There were a couple of guys I left off that kind of broke my heart. Zion Williamson, they didn't make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Jalen Brown, he was injured this year, right?
Yeah.
And last but not least, my first omission was Ja Morant. And that was because he lost in the first round. So number 5 is?
Who?
Trae Young. Because he's giving me 25 points a game. He's giving me double-figure assists. And the Atlanta Hawks, Jay Will, they outplayed expectations. And they are currently, right now, in the second round of the playoffs. Not last year, not next year, this year.
Okay.
Number 4.
Go ahead.
D-Book, who's performing in the second round of the playoffs. The face of the franchise. Both of those guys, when the season started, they were on the season tickets.
Okay.
Face of the franchise. Best players. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell.
I'm okay. I'm good with that. Donovan Mitchell is number 3 on my list.
45-point playoff games.
Yes.
He now has to be a part of this list because I see dominance in the playoffs. I see dominance in the playoffs. And number 2, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, gotta go green.
He went crazy this year. He took a game from the Nets like AI in the 2001 finals against the Lakers.
Yep.
Right? And number 1, shout to Paul Pierce, who coined the name, the Don. Luka is number 1. We said Kawhi Leonard locked him down in their last game. He had 46 points and 14 boards. Don Luka is number 1.
I like the list. I think I'm in a battle between Ja Morant and Trae Young now.
Me too.
Because Ja Morant is rising quickly,
Yes, he
especially
is.
with the way they played against Golden State. So I see you on that. But I like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I'm game with.
All I learned from that list is that the kids are all right. The future is bright.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We've got some great
Yes.
talent on the
Good
horizon,
point.
and you get to watch them in the postseason,
Yes.
which is awesome. Another young player playing in the postseason right now, Woj, obviously Michael Porter Jr., and he's dealt with a back injury. Obviously, we take it all the way back to the draft and him falling to 14, and so he's been battling through that his entire career. But how is he doing in preparation for tonight's game?
Right, and this isn't related to that. These are just back spasms that can happen in the postseason. But this Denver team cannot compete with Phoenix unless Michael Porter Jr. is playing at a high level. They knew that when Jamal Murray went out for the season. And I was talking to Tim Connolly, the Denver's president, who drafted Michael Porter Jr. And he's been so impressed with his toughness playing through this injury. And, you know, there was some knocks on how good of a teammate was Michael Porter Jr. coming into the draft. And then last year in the bubble, when he talked about the shot selection of other players on the team. And then in Game 6 against Portland in the last series, when JaMychal Green has it going into fourth quarter and it's Michael Porter's turn to check back in the game, he tells Michael Malone, keep him in the game, let him close, he's playing well. That went a long way with his teammates and his organization. You know, Michael Porter Jr. is a player who's going to make his case through the years to be on that group of top 5 players under 25. He's 22 years old.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.